Hi everybody, it's Billie here, and in this video we're going to have a look at aspiration in phonology. Now, what is aspiration? To answer this question, we need to have a look at a sound in English, the sound h. H. This is also called an aspirate. We have it, for example, in the words hello and unhealthy. Hello, unhealthy. It's quite a soft sound, it's not easy to hear, but remember, very often in English when you see the letter H, it is pronounced using this sound. Not always, but very, very often. So aspirate and aspiration, those two words look fairly similar because they really are connected. We say aspirated, or a sound is aspirated. And that means that we are adding a short h sound to words beginning with p, t, or k. This is a very broad definition. I'm going to explain this in more detail in a moment. But sometimes we also say that this is accompanied by an extra puff of air. So is really a little puff of air. And sometimes it's just a little bit sharp, really. You'll hear it in a moment when I give you some more examples of words starting with p, t, and k. And in fact, when I say the sounds on their own, you can hear that they're aspirated. Listen again carefully. P, t, k. I said them in an aspirated way. You can hear the p, but there's a little puff of air. And in fact, when you just use your hand, you can also feel the puff of air. It's an aspirated p, and the same for t and k. I can feel and hear the aspiration. So this little puff of air accompanies the release of these three stops or plosives. And if you have a look at them, p, t, k, there's something they have in common. Yes, they're all stops or plosives, but they are also all unvoiced. P, t, k. Yeah, we do not use our vocal cords here. They don't vibrate, they stay silent because those three plosive sounds are unvoiced. This is important to remember. So aspiration really only occurs with those three plosive consonants, and only because they are unvoiced, okay? H is also an unvoiced consonant, so you cannot really aspirate any voiced consonants in English. So here is the rule again, and this is the specific rule for aspiration. So unvoiced plosives, or also called stops, are aspirated when they occur as the only sound in the onset of a stressed syllable. You probably think, Billie, this made it more complicated and not easier to understand. Let me explain this, okay? So any syllable really consists of an onset, a nucleus, and a coda. It's a little bit like the onset is the first sound. If there is an onset, there doesn't have to be one, but very often there's maybe one consonant or two before we have the nucleus. This is the core of our syllable, and that's always the vowel sound. And then the coda is the little tail. It's any consonant that we add at the end. I do have a little video on onset, coda, nucleus, and all of that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I strongly recommend you watch it. It's only 1 minute long, and it makes it very clear. I will link to it in the description box below. So we say that unvoiced plosives, they are aspirated when they occur as the only sound in the onset, so before the vowel in the syllable, and it's the only sound. There's not another consonant with them. And they occur in the onset of a stressed syllable, so the syllable also has to be stressed. Now, here is an example. The word time. Time only consists of one syllable, and it's a noun, so it's usually stressed. So it's a little bit easier. So we have a consonant first, t, an unvoiced plosive, and that forms the onset. Then we have the nucleus consisting of I. This is a diphthong. Remember this, yeah, two syllables, but really they form one sound, the diphthong, double vowel I. And then we have at the end. Now that is the coda, the little tail of the syllable. So here we have exactly what I was just describing in our rule. We have an onset consisting of only one unvoiced plosive, and that is the plosive t. And so let me say the word again, time, time. And in fact, when you say it and it's aspirated, and I think I only ever say this word in an aspirated way, you can hear and feel this little puff of air, even just here on your bottom lip. Time, time. Now, if we want to show aspiration in the transcript, what we do is we add a little h symbol, but we elevate it. So it isn't, this means aspiration. It's not the full h sound as we had in hello or unhealthy. This elevated small little h means that the previous plosive was aspirated. So it's not just t, but t, t, time, time. Now, let me give you another example here. We have the word pot. P is our onset. Again, this is the only consonant sound we have. Then we have A, this is the vowel forming the nucleus of the syllable. And we have T at the end this time. Listen again, pot, pot. So here, you can't really feel, I think, the puff of air on the bottom lip because P is formed differently to T. But when you put your hand in front of your mouth, pot, pot, I can feel the puff of air coming out, pot, pot. So very, very often the P is aspirated. And again, we can show this using a little elevated H symbol. Now, there's something important to remember with our rule. So we had the word pot, and I said very often this is aspirated, but there's a very similar sounding word called spot in English. Now, spot is different because spot in its onset has two consonant sound, s and p. So here the rule doesn't hold anymore because the rule said that the plosive p has to be the only consonant in the onset, the only sound in the onset. And the onset is always a consonant because the nucleus always is a vowel sound. So that is not the case in the word spot. So p here is not aspirated, spot. I mean, you could aspirate it, but it would sound very odd and people don't do that because it would create quite a lot of effort. So spot, but pot, pot, spot, spot. I'll say it again, and I would encourage you say it as well. Maybe put your hand in front of your mouth. Pot, spot. It's a difference. There's no aspiration in spot. And so the first one we would say is aspirated, and the second one is unaspirated because there's a different phonological environment. Here is another example. We have the word top, and here, yes, we very often we have aspiration with t, top, top. But in the word stop, again, there's a s now accompanying the t, so it's not alone anymore. St forms the onset, and there's no aspiration. Stop. Chop, spot. Sorry, I said it wrong. Chop, stop. Chop, stop. Say it a couple of times, and like I said before, just use the hand method, so see if you can at least feel a difference, even if you can't hear a difference. And again, the first example is aspirated, and the second one is unaspirated. Now, I just wanted to give you an example also with k. It doesn't necessarily form exactly the same word, just with one sound difference. These two are different. but so that you have an example also with k. So first we have the word cat. So here k is the onset, it's the only sound, k, cat, very often aspirated. But when we form the word cute, that's again only one syllable. It's often stressed because it's an adjective, but cute is k, y in the onset. Cute, cute. It's very obvious. This one is not aspirated, but cat, cat, k, k. Yeah, aspirated very clearly. Cat is aspirated, but cute isn't. Now, we need to summarize something very important. We have aspiration always when it is the first sound in the word, and it's the stressed syllable also of this word. And then we always have aspiration. But we also sometimes have aspiration in the middle of a word. So upper or super. Sometimes people pronounce those words with a little bit of aspiration. That can happen. But we never have aspiration at the end of a word. So if the word ends in p, t, or k, there is never aspiration. Or if the syllable ends, the stressed syllable ends with p, t, or k, there's never aspiration. So always when it's the first sound of the word in the stressed syllable and it's the only sound of the onset, sometimes in the middle, but really never at the end. And then there's something very, very important you need to remember, because maybe you think, oh, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. Do I aspirate my p, t, and k or not? Well, don't worry, because aspiration does not change the meaning of a word. So if you say the word top with aspiration or without, it doesn't matter. The meaning doesn't change. The only reason really we aspirate sounds is for clarity of pronunciation. It makes our pronunciation clearer, but it does not change the meaning of a word. So it's very different, because sometimes when we have a little change, for example with vowels between short and long, there's a difference in meaning. That is not the case with aspiration. It does not create a change in meaning. So hopefully this has been helpful and you understand aspiration a little bit better. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below.